everyone, welcome to Mental TV. Today I'm excited to have Chase from the Butcher Babies. Before we start, I just want to remind you to subscribe to MentalNet TV and make sure you click the notification bell so you'll be alerted to every single episode. Here we go. Hey Chase, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm
Nice
doing
to meet
really
you.
well. I'm excited to have you on. We have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's a lot going on with the Butcher Babies. You guys just got out of the studio recently, and we're going to talk about all of that as well as all the tour dates that you have coming up for the festivals. But before we do, I wanted to get to know a little bit about you and your musical history. So,
All
one of
right.
the most interesting things that I read about you is that your dad is a drummer. So, I wanted to ask you a bit about that.
Yep.
Tell me about your dad. Is he a professional musician?
Yeah, he's been a professional on and off my entire life. I was actually um my mom did sound for their band while they're on the road while I was in the womb. So
Oh, cool.
he's been playing drums and I've been playing drums on pots and pans since I can remember. Yeah, he currently plays in a couple of bands in Southern Oregon. And he's a killer funk jazz fusion guy. Yeah, I learned so much from him growing up, and it was awesome to have a father who's taken drums as far as he did. Yeah.
So, was he like a touring musician, a session player?
They did a touring circuit with his cover band. So they toured all over, but it's different than my touring, where we're here today, gone tonight. They did hotel circuits where they'd play a hotel for 3 nights and then,
Oh, cool.
four or five 45-minute sets,
Oh,
like where we
nice.
play, we play our half an hour to an hour and we're done. So
Right.
yeah, it was a much different scene for him. But yeah, he toured a lot.
Okay. And did he always play like the same kind of music or did he vary it throughout his career?
Yeah, pretty widely varied because they were playing a lot of covers in a lot of different scenes and areas. They played primarily top 40, but it would venture into, funk, jazz, blue, tons of blues, a bunch of country. I learned how to play 2/4s from my dad playing country 2/4s.
Cool.
Um, yeah, actually, my first gig ever was he double booked himself on purpose and forced me to take the other gig.
Oh, cool.
I was 16 and played at a bar. That was my first gig was through my dad. So
Were
yeah,
you like down for it? Were you excited or did he
I
have
was
to
so
kind of
nervous.
force you?
I never
Okay.
practiced those songs, and I was playing. It didn't matter. There was like six old ladies there. They didn't care.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you had this drum kit in your house your whole life. It was there. Was it for you? Was it sort of like this cool toy you want to play with, or because it was your dad's professional drum kit, was it sort of like an off limits? Like, what was the deal with your dad's drum kit when you were really like really young?
There was long periods where we didn't have a drum kit in the house.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was in middle school where we had a drum kit all the time available. Otherwise, he'd have his kit somewhere to practice, and I would rarely
Okay,
go
like at
there.
a
But
studio to
yeah,
practice and packed up.
yeah, yeah, at the band
Okay.
rehearsal spot or something like
Yeah.
that. Um, yeah, it was until about late middle school where we had a drum kit all the time, and it
Mhm.
was I was like a skater kid and snowboarder, Southern Oregon, running around the woods, doing everything but drumming. And then right around 15, I got real serious because I was in marching band, in a competitive marching band. We had like a really, really good school with Jeff Bush was my first real teacher. He was a center snare for Blue Devils,
Mhm.
96, I think. But yeah, he was, my first like drum mentor outside of my father. And then I got a little more serious. And over the next couple of years, I practiced, I'm not even kidding, like 6 to 8 hours every day.
Okay, so
And
you
then I
were
went,
that kid who was super disciplined and really
yeah, I actually quit marching band to practice drums and play in bands, to like build up local bands, which never did anything because we're, little idiot kids. And I don't think we're that good.
Yeah. Was there much of
um,
a scene where you grew up, or were you just kind of creating whatever scene you could to
we
just
were
get people
creating
to
the
watch
scene.
you
Yeah,
play?
there was like six bands in Southern Oregon that were worth a shit, and otherwise we had to drive to Eugene and for a show, and then if we wanted to play real shows, you had to drive to Portland, which is 4 hours north.
Okay, so
So
quite a
yeah,
stretch for. So your parents kind of have to bring you or trust you to
Yeah,
drive that far by yourself, which I don't know. My parents wouldn't have trusted me to drive that far at that age.
we ended up finding like a really good deal on a PA.
Mm.
My parents did, and then we basically set up and played a bunch of like basement backyard shows. So we'd like bring a generator out into the woods, and it probably killed the PA because it was underpowered. But I'm sure looking back, that's what did it. But yeah, we basically just created a scene ourselves. We played at this little record store called Music Head all the time. I played with like my first shows opening for bigger bands. Like we played with Misery Index and Cephalic Carnage, and I was like, whoa, I was such a little tech death kid. But it was literally the shittiest little tiny stage ever. You know, the PA was just, there's no subs. It was bad, but you know, totally punk rock, amazing experience. You know, never had it any other way.
That's awesome. So were you always into really heavy music? Because I feel like most of the bands you played in have been that we know you from are heavier music. Were you always going down that path in your early bands?
I all my professional playing and touring have been in heavy bands, just OTEP and Butcher Babies, Thrown into Exile. You know, we did Mayhem. So yeah, all heavy bands. I have played for a bunch of like top 40 cover bands in LA, gigged all over LA. I played, you know, I jammed in all sorts of different styles, but yeah, all my professional playing has been in metal. I got into metal really heavy when I first heard like Korn and Mudvayne and Slipknot when I was a kid, you know. Up until that point, the heaviest thing that I had ever heard was Rage Against the Machine. And then I had one friend who he was kind of the reason I got into all these bands. He's like, yo, you gotta hear this band. And that's Roy. Shout out to Roy in Oregon. He's still killing it. But he showed me all of the new metal bands that got me into metal. So I made the switch from like, I kind of watch MTV a little bit, you know, and I know about these rock bands too. Holy shit, I'm into new metal, you know. And then it was from new metal, it was like right to black metal, like Dimmu Borgir, Cradle of Filth, you know, then even darker, like Emperor, Burzum, like all these old black metal bands. And then from there, I was exposed to bands like Cryptopsy when I went to, and Meshuggah. I didn't even know who Meshuggah was. I was like, you know, in the Pantera, Slipknot, Nothing Face, all these like, you know, American Head Charge, Static X, Rob Zombie, all the new metal greats. And then when I went to MI Musicians Institute in Hollywood, I went there for a summer course called the Encore Sessions when I was 17. I went in between junior and senior year of high school. And from there, I met some incredible musicians who exposed me to some unbelievable technical death metal. And from there, I was sold. I was like, this is incredible. And it was like that for a long time. And only in the last, I mean, I listened to everything, but only in the last, you know, five years or so, I've just kind of really tapered off from the technical death metal stuff, because it's almost like a sport, and there's so much to drumming that isn't involved in that style of music.
Yeah. So to go back just a little bit, you had your father. Was he one of your teachers, or was he more of an inspiration?
Both. Yeah, I'd say more of a teacher than, I mean, he was inspiring for sure, but he guided me through, you know, a lot of the rudiment stuff that I'd learned in drumline. He would show me how, like, paradiddle applications for drums. Here's how you play this and that funk beat out of these grooves. You know, he guided me through advanced techniques through the modern for the modern drummer, which is a staple for drummers to go through. It's the classic jazz coordination book. He also had me go through stick control and syncopation and advanced funk drumming, which I think that book in particular, it's a lesser known book, but I think that book it gave me more chops as far as, you know, coordination and touch and taste with ghost notes and feel than any of the other books. He was specifically responsible for that. He said, son, if you're going to play drums, you're going to go through these books.
He wanted you to know what you were doing and do it right.
Yeah, he said, you can already read, so just go through these books, you will be better. And one of the things he always tried to get me to do when I was young, I just wanted to play like, you know, Tool was like my biggest band for so long. Yeah, I just want to play like Tool songs and Mudvayne songs or write these songs out. And he's like, but kid, you're gonna have to take my. He had a huge record collection of like old Motown stuff and old jazz records. He's like, listen, just play to those records. You'll be a better player. I know you don't want to, but you should do it. And it's one thing I wish I would have done, and I had to do. I was like forced to do it at MI, and I became a better drummer from it. So yeah, he was more of a teacher.
Yeah. Did you always know that you were going to go the Musicians Institute route? Like, did you know that you were going to continue to be serious and go that route, as opposed to, let's say, go to college for something else, or not go to school at all for music?
Yeah, at the time, I was actually a teacher's aide for drafting in drafting and design class, like doing blueprints for specifically small, like complicated parts. And my teacher told me that she could get me work in San Francisco as doing drafting for Boeing, like an apprenticeship. And I was like, you know what? No, fuck that. I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to play drums, and that's what it's going to be. So,
okay. So you were like, you knew what your path was.
Yeah. I could have gone that way. Definitely could have gone that way. Or, I was really into like computer science, or like video game design. I was like really interested, but I don't know. I just had the call. I had to, I had the unfortunate affliction where you want to be a musician and that's all you want to do.
That's awesome. You had lots of options, but you knew that for you only had the one, really.
That's it. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna go. We were watching vulgar videos, I think, at some point in my life. Are you familiar with the Pantera?
I'm not. No, what is that?
Okay, so that's Pantera's home videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say that those videos alone were a huge motivating factor. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to go do what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so you went to Musicians Institute. Now I hear people talk about that a lot. I'm more familiar with Berkeley because I'm on the East Coast. So They also have like I would call it their summer program, which just sounds like it's similar to what you did when you were a teenager. And then they have, I think their program is 4 years. Musicians Institute, do they have like a 4-year and then the certificate so you can choose what length?
No, there. I don't remember if they had a bachelor's program. They definitely had there was a trade school. Essentially, almost everyone went there for the trade school. I think they did have a bachelor, but it was a trade school in the way that your credits could be transferred to a 4-year school.
Okay. So how long did you go there for your program?
I actually skipped the first level and just because it was mostly about reading and basic coordination stuff, and I could already play most of it, so I tested out of it. I honestly wish I would have done it because there was definitely some things that I was behind on, that I didn't know that I was behind on. But the whole program is 3 semesters if you go for the whole time. So I only went for 2. I was just there for 2005 through 2006.
All right. And you had a great experience there, or?
Yeah, I had an incredible experience. They give you a mountain of work to go through. I feel, no regrets or anything, but I feel like maybe I went when I was 19 and just moved to Hollywood, and there's something to be said about practicing at home and getting and fine-tuning your craft a little bit and playing out and studying with a teacher and then taking that to a place like MI and because I saw guys that were older than me and had been playing, and I was like, oh, these guys are fucking nasty.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. I learned so much, and they gave me a giant mountain of work to go through when I was done, because a year is not really enough to go through that amount of work on the drum kit. I got much, much, much better at drums after I started touring, just out of necessity.
Right. To apply what you learn.
Yeah. And I toured with guys on my first tour. It was Bury Your Dead, and Mark Castillo was playing. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Castillo. Seriously badass, underrated drummer. A lot of people don't know who he is, but he's unbelievable. I'd never even seen anybody hit as hard as him. So, he's just like, dude, I like you. It was kind of a bad tour for them because of some politics. We can get into, I don't know if I should get into that. Okay. They're having a little bit of a rough go, but he's like, dude, I like you, and I'm going to show you some shit. And he showed me a bunch of shit, like, the way he tunes his drums, the way, playing way above your head to if you're playing rock, you got to make a show of it. So,
do you think you were more receptive though because you had gone to Musicians Institute? Like, do you think like you learned some things that maybe opened your eyes to things that you might not have been aware of if you hadn't gone?
I, that's a hard question to answer because I'm always open to new ideas. Always, as I age, the one thing I do know is the depth of the shit that I don't know.
That's true. That's true. The older you get, the more you're aware of what you don't know.
Yeah. So, and especially now I'm more open to new ways of doing things, playing things, new ways of looking at an old idea, so I was open to it back then too. I felt like I didn't have the, I'm the shit kind of thing. I've always tried to keep a level head and know that there's levels to drumming that I'll never achieve. I was humbled a lot at MI in a number of notable times. One of which was right before I graduated. I went to the Baked Potato to see Marco Miniman play with one of the bass player teachers from MI. And I watched, they said to the crowd that Marco had never played the next song. And the next song was my final my final for one of the classes, and he sight read it and then added like a 64 bar solo. It was an odd meter. It was like five or six pages, so you had to turn it and play with one hand. So I was just like, oh cool, yeah, that's cool. Like I worked on it for weeks to play it, like,
and he just knocked it out.
It was really bad compared to what Marco did. So yeah, you only need so many experiences like that before you're just like, okay, I'm open to a new idea here and there.
I hear you. So after Musicians Institute, what was your next gig, or what was your first big gig, I should say?
I actually took it after MI. I took time off, not on my own doing. I just didn't get a gig for a while. But, I was playing, some little artists here, some cover bands and stuff like that. And I played all over LA with that kind of stuff. A number of different like singer songwriters, and then one of my good friend Johnny, who plays guitar for Nita Strauss. Mm-hmm. Johnny Young, he called me one day and he's like, hey, you want to play for OTEP? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right. And I was doing phone sales at the time. I was so sad and depressed. And it was getting to the point where I was like, do I need to move home? This is crazy. And then I went in, I learned, I think the set was 13 songs, and I learned like 13 songs in 10 days. I went into audition, did well at the audition, and then we started touring on my birthday in 2010 on Valentine's Day. And so that was my first real gig, was touring with OTEP.
Nice.
I walked through the fire I walked through the fire with that gig because I was 24. I couldn't have been greener. I was green as grass. It was wild. And OTEP's a bunch of old, they're road dogs. They've been doing it forever, especially Jay. But yeah, they were they made me a better player. They held me to a higher standard that I'd ever held myself, because we're the headlining band. There's no room for fucking up. So
they liked you. They chose you, and you were with them.
It was
a few years.
What's up?
You were with them for a few years.
Yeah. Into 2013.
2013.
So it was like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. And a fun fact that I read was that you guys took Butcher Babies on tour with you, which was, I believe, was it their very first tour?
No, they toured before that. I believe it was with Fozzy, but it was their first US run.
Their first US run. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Was that the first time that you met the band?
No, I knew Heidi and Chris. Mm-hmm. Through mutual friends. We'd all met and hung out like the Rainbow. I don't know how familiar you are with the LA scene, but yeah, the Rainbow is still the place where everyone goes.
Nice.
But
yeah.
So I, Rainbow, Roxy, Whiskey, Viper Room, Key Club, House of Blues. The whole strip was, everyone saw everybody. It was, big friends group, which actually now that whole 2010 through 2016 friend rocker scene has all moved to Vegas. So I'm kind of like,
it seems like every single person by one has been moving over. So you're in Vegas now.
Yeah. I went to a show the other day and I was just like, this is 2013 Roxy, what is happening right now? Like everybody that lived in LA around then was at that show.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so you did know them. You did know them prior to them being on tour, but it must have been cool though on some level though to know that this band that opened for a band used to be in ended up being a band that you ended up playing in some years.
Yeah, well, it was kind of like we became such good friends on that tour that, if they ever lost their drummer, I would hope that I would get that call,
Yeah.
like Henry's from a little town in Oregon, close to my town, which is so random because nobody leaves and goes to LA to play music. That's just not something that people do there. So Henry and I hit it off right away. We're like really good friends, and he's now one of my closest friends. Yeah, so him being from Oregon, and then knowing Heidi and Chris, I became great friends with Carla and Jason. Like lifelong friends. So when Jason departed from the group, that was the clear, not the clear choice. I can't speak for them, but I got the call first. So yeah, and then Henry and I jammed. I learned a few other songs. We had a great time, and then we hit the road pretty shortly after that. We did my first tour was with Megadeth, opening for Megadeth for them, and that was crazy. We had a couple rehearsals, few rehearsals, and then on day one, and we were playing a short set, thankfully, but on day one, they are implementing this new tracks rig, and all the tracks and all the backing tracks and all the click, and we had no monitors because we were using this in-ears unit. It all went down, so I basically played the first show like listening to myself and doing so it was crazy. Yeah, so it's been a blast playing with them it's going on 6 years now.
6 years now. Wow. Yeah. So approximately two of those years were kind of quarantine years, but you guys did put out 4 singles during that time. And then what else were you able to do as a band during those years? Were you able to write together or stay active in any sort of way?
No, I really didn't even see them almost at all for the whole duration of the pandemic. I was in LA at the beginning of the pandemic, and then I didn't see anybody for quite some time.
Okay. I think
we collaborated online a little bit. What's up?
Your band is spread out. You were in Oregon at the time, right? This
before
you moved to Vegas, and Heidi.
So going all the way back to the beginning of the timeline. So after the Megadeth tour, we went right into the studio and wrote Lilith, and we toured on Lilith for 18 months or something like that, and then we took a year off in 2019 to write and record a record, and then just as we were supposed to leave for tour, like we were all in LA. Carlo left for Chicago before the pandemic, right? But up until then, we were all together in LA. And then in 2019, I left and went to Baltimore for my girl and I do some real estate stuff on the side. So we went to Baltimore. We flipped some houses because you can go buy houses for super cheap there. And from there it was just like that we went back to LA. We sublet our place in Baltimore, and then the pandemic hit. So we're just like, okay, well, and then everybody spread out. We left to go to Oregon. Carla was in Chicago. Henry and Heidi were in LA, and then they moved to Vegas, and I just moved to Vegas. And I don't know if Carla's ever going to move to Vegas. I think she should.
Just put it out there.
Yeah, we're all spread out now. Ricky, our newest addition, Ricky Benaza, absolute badass. I don't know if you've talked to him at all.
I haven't talked to him yet, but I want to. He's very cool. I follow him on Instagram. So he's very cool guy. Yeah.
He's very cool.
Yeah. And where's he located?
He's in LA. Yeah,
he's in LA. Okay.
He's in LA still. And Henry, Heidi, and I are in Vegas, and Carla's in Chicago.
You could probably talk him into Vegas. He's close enough.
Yeah, he's coming to visit this week. So I think that we go to a couple of shows. He'll be like, oh, no brainer.
It's like everyone's here anyway.
LA is, don't get me wrong, LA is gorgeous though. Like it's so green and beautiful here right now. But it's crazy expensive. It's if you're not looking for a band, you can make it happen in Vegas.
Yeah. Definitely. So new music. You guys were just in the studio. Tell me about what's going on with the new music. First of all, is it an album or are you working on singles?
We did a whole record. So we have a whole record supposed to come out. I don't have a date yet, so I don't want to speak on it too soon. But
Is it 2022, do we think, or 2023?
Yes, I believe it'll be 2022.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very cool.
We'd like to have it released, excuse me, before we head out on tour in Europe.
Okay, so ideally, so we have some festival dates, which we'll talk about what the shows are, but those are happening in July for sure. You have like
that's
3 or
Incarceration, Upheaval, and Rockfest,
Okay,
Midwest festivals. Yep.
and then you have some European festivals coming up as well. So you're hoping that this will come up before the European.
Yeah, we're hoping to get it up
Okay,
by the European tour.
cool.
Yeah, so we went into the studio in Midland, Michigan, which is just an amazingly fun town. Let me tell you, there's so much to do.
Why
I'm being sarcastic.
Why'd you choose the studio in Michigan?
Because Josh Schroeder lives there, and Josh Schroeder is a beast. He's a wizard. He's amazing. He's put out some incredible records. They're like really interesting guy. We went with him because we're a weird band. We have 2 female singers. We play 8-string guitars, and it's loud, it's crazy, it's weird, so we wanted somebody that could bring that out in us. So Josh, we decided that Josh was the man to do that, and I believe he is. So we have some really exciting stuff. We went pretty heavy. It's not like what we did with Matt Good, so Butcher Babies fans can get ready for that.
Nice. All right, nice. Do you know approximately how many songs? Is it going to be loaded with songs?
Yeah, that's going to be in the 11 to 13. We haven't decided what we're cutting yet.
Okay, but a good amount.
Yeah.
So not an EP.
No. Full length record. This would be the 4th full length studio record by Butcher Babies.
And any repeat
really excited.
singles, or are these all fresh new songs? Any of the 4 singles going to be on this, or fresh?
Full fresh record. Yeah.
Really, I'm super pumped for this.
Yeah. It was an amazing experience. Being that there was nothing to do in Midland, Michigan, and it was below freezing almost the entire time, if not really below freezing. We stayed as a group in an Airbnb, and then we drove to the studio and then back to the Airbnb and to the studio and back to the Airbnb. We didn't do anything the whole time. All we did was focus on that record. Super cool experience. It kind of felt like, you'd hear when you're a kid, you'd hear about a band going to some location and writing this record, right? And it really felt like we got to live that experience. So it was fun. I cooked every day for everyone. It was like this, it felt like boot camp or something, just everybody locked down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the Airbnb was cool. We had a gym there and a sauna there, so we did all of our workout and our healing and everything, just like our recovery, all in the same spot. We had no other option than to hang out for a month. Do this record. Yeah, it was really cool.
And I heard you guys work out together a lot when you're on tour and that. So is everyone in the band down with that?
Everyone stays fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's Ricky runs like crazy. Henry's always on a strength program. I've been on a strength program forever.
Heidi posts
Carla stays super fit. Yeah.
Weightlifting stuff and that.
Yeah. And we're also, we are partnered with, not partnered, we are endorsed by Redcon supplements. So they keep us, full on stocked up on all of the essential supplements that we need to. So that's another outside motivator. Gotta keep working out. We're
look good.
Working out for a fitness brand.
That's awesome.
But yeah, fitness is
the first album with Ricky. Was this the first time Ricky went with you? Okay.
He's amazing. One take Ricky.
Yeah. Oh, fun.
Yeah, he's great.
So can you tell us, I think you posted a little bit about this on Instagram, but can you tell us about the process from your perspective as a drummer of the recording process from your perspective?
Sure. Yeah. So the recording process with Josh, and it varies a lot from producer to producer, but with Josh, we had a library of ideas that we'd been working on for the last couple of years. It's just bits and pieces, so a groove here, a beat there, half a song here, whatever. And so we went in with a lot of these ideas with Josh, and we kind of treated him as a sixth member and in putting it all together, and taking his ideas and him taking our ideas and creating this this music magic. We went in with basically very limited on full song structures, and we wrote and recorded everything instrumentally in 3 weeks. So once we did everything on, he uses Reaper, we did everything on his DAW, and we so we could all hear it from an outside perspective. We make sure like the drum part is perfect, and then what he would do is he would, in the drum room, he brought a big TV in, so I'd follow along with the MIDI. So I was playing exactly what we ended up writing. And since we wrote it all so fast, there's already stuff that it's going to be different live, some of the drum parts, but yeah, but it's a snapshot in time of how we felt in that moment recording that record. So yeah, we were in there, we wrote everything, then we laid down drums on 4 or 5 songs, then did the other instruments, and some of it changed as we went too, because as I'd lay down drums, and then Henry would come in and do guitars, because he can't really do the bass before the guitar part in this style of metal, since basically the bass follows the guitar 90% of the time anyway. So Henry would come in and he would write a riff and then really like tweak it and work on it, and as that changed, I might have to change the drum part to match with it, yeah, so we did it like that, and then Ricky came over or came in and laid down the bass part, and then we did the next 4 songs, and then did it again, and the next 4 songs, and then did it again. Yeah, really cool, interesting experience to do it that way. And also Josh kind of mixed drums as we went, and he's incredible. He used a basic mics, like nice mics, but basic mics, not what you'd expect in a professional studio, and the sounds were insane. We used a Tama Babinga, Birch Babinga kit from like the mid 2000s. Incredible kit. I played Evans heads. I used G2s on that record. He was really involved. He's a drummer too, so he was really involved in drum sounds, very obsessive. But yeah, the tones we got are insane. I used my new Yamaha brass snare, so the snare is just crushing. We made really cool samples. We sampled all the snares in his room sounds in his garage. Like we went and took the snares in the garage, did room samples there. It's super organic and live sounding. Is really, really, it doesn't sound like this overly produced, super gridded record. It's got a flair of a heavy taste of the old school with modern production. It's nice.
It sounds like it was especially satisfying for you, given that he was a drummer, and it sounds like he really knew what to do with you.
Oh yeah, we geeked out. It was great. Yeah, he's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing information about the new album. I'm really excited to hear it, so we can know exactly how many songs and know exactly when it's going to come out. I imagine you'll be having several videos for the album, and have like a full-on tour.
We'll have a US run. Guaranteed we'll have a couple of US runs probably early next year. Our Europe stuff right now is, like I said, we have the 3 festivals in the Midwest right now. And then we have Blue Ridge in September, Blue Ridge Rock Fest. Other than that, we have a bunch of festivals lined up in August in Europe, including Wacken, which has been a childhood dream of mine my whole life. Since I found out about it, I've been wanting to play it so it's been 20 something years. And we're playing Wacken, we're playing Bloodstock. I could say we have a killer support tour in fall coming up in Europe. So
that's awesome.
Keep eyes out for that.
That's awesome. All right. Sounds good. Well, we will definitely have you on again very, very soon, because I know you have other exciting things going on in your life. More to come on that. But thank you so much for coming on. And it
Yeah,
was
thank you for having me.
getting to get to know you. And like I said, for everybody at home, we will definitely have Chase back on because he's got other cool stuff that he told me a little bit about. So you'll be seeing him on
A little
Metal
here, a little bit
Minds.
there.
Yeah, a
That's
little
right.
bit here, a little bit there. I hope you enjoyed the latest episode of MetalNet TV. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you leave a really nice comment for me and for Chase. Make sure that you tune in for the next episode, and I will see you again soon. Take care.